Howdy ho, Arkansas Pilgrim here again. We've got an unwrapping today. We call it an unboxing, but it's not in a box. And it's something that I've needed for a while, been making do without, and finally bit the bullet and bought it. Because the reason I had to do it is my wife is repainting the inside of our house. And we actually have 9-foot ceilings, and we also have a stairway, not a stairwell, it's open on one side. And we needed something to be able to reach up and paint properly, but also to mask because the walls and the ceiling are a different color. And I looked at some things on the internet on how to do that, and none of them were appropriate or would have been safe. So I bit the bullet and bought a special ladder. Check it out with me as I open it up. I would say forgive the vertical video, but it's going to be the same size on the screen when you're watching it, whether it's horizontal or vertical, and it's actually a lot easier to film this way. But there it is. It's one of those special ladders that, well, it's 6 feet tall, collapse, but it actually extends to like 23 depending on which configuration you use. Back to regular configuration. There it is, multi-position pro with power light rails even. But this one, I got this at Home Depot. They had similar, different brand, but basically the same thing at Lowe's. But Lowe's had, the one at Lowe's was a little giant, and it said 300-pound load capacity. So hey, wanted to get the other one, or I wanted to get this one. But hey, let's just start digging into it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. EDC, I can become good soil knife. And gonna go ahead and try to do this on camera, single-handed. Yeah, it could probably be sharper. Actually, it is sharp. It's weird how plastic doesn't cut the same as it used to. You could hardly keep it together. Now it's hard to get the darn stuff open. Bang the blade on the stairs a few more. It's gonna get even more dull. All you use to just watch videos and don't make them. It's surprisingly hard to watch what you're doing and watch filming. I suppose I could watch on the camera, but then I think I'll end up stabbing myself or something. Anyway. I think you've got enough of these action shots. I'm going to close out for a second and pull some of this stuff off. Here we go, back to vertical configuration. But that's okay because it's on purpose, not from being clueless. Anyway, there it is, opened up. You can see it's the same on both sides. That's because it's also not just a step ladder, it's also an extension ladder. I'll show those configurations in a bit. But anyway, there it is. It was $289 from Home Depot. And the one I mentioned from Lowe's was also $289, even though this one has a higher load rating. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do some other unfolding and and then I'll show you that. Here's something you might not see often. Someone reading the instructions. Here's a instruction video on how to read instructions. And I guess the first rule of reading instructions is read the ones that you can actually understand what they say because they're written in your own language. Anyway, but I am going to read I am an instruction reader. I admit it, and I admit it proudly. But then I also learn how to operate things a lot quicker than most people, or don't screw them up because I missed the important information of before you do this, like starting a lawnmower without adding oil to it because the instruction says, by the way, this is shipped without oil. Yeah, I've never done that. I'm sure there's some that have. Anyway, I just wanted to have this little bit in here about instructions because I think it's very important to read instructions. After reading any instructions, there are really only two different things to operate on this. First are these. That unlocks the hinge, does that on both sides, and allows you to either close it. Well, let's switch here. See if I can. There we go. And if you fold it together to what they call the storage position, see if I can catch this. There we go. See them lock? Yeah. Now it's just flat. And you could also lean that up against a wall, I guess. But there are also, and actually let me go ahead and undo those now so I can let the ladder freestand. This would probably be better with a cameraman, but I haven't graduated to that yet, or at least had anybody that's willing to. There we go. See that? Anyway, anybody that's willing to spend the time doing this with me. And also, oops, see, that's what happens when you're watching the camera and then you trip over things. These locks here undo the extension, which I'm going to have to do that in a separate shot maybe. Well, let's see. But actually, yeah, I got an idea. I'll just lie it down. It didn't hurt myself or damage the ladder or anything, but that makes there we go. See that? Obviously that does on both sides, but this is the reason we were getting this for painting, because what you do is you have to get it in the right position, and you relock the locks, and you can have either a taller step ladder or a ladder for steps, which I'll show you in the next shot. Here we go, vertical again. Hope I'm not making everybody seasick switching back and forth between vertical and horizontal. Anyway, here's the step ladder in the step configuration. This is the reason, one of the reasons we bought this ladder, because we need to work on a stairway to do some masking and painting. And here it's set up perfect. You can set it up to be stable and solid on a set of steps, rather than doing some hokey thing with an extension ladder or a regular step ladder by stacking books underneath it, or boxes or blocks or something, and ended up having falling off of that and hurting yourself. Instead, you can have this nice fancy ladder to fall off and hurt yourself with. This is actually in the exact same setup it was for the steps, but it's actually being able to lean against a wall, well, without leaning against a wall. It's got vertical support also behind it, and it's also, you've got some, and I probably, well, the angle there's probably a little bit too much, but especially for a heavy person. But this thing's solid. You can be on a step ladder that's not, not where you're about ready to fall off backwards because it's so close to vertical anyway. But anyway, it's a solid way of having, at least in the shorter configuration, having what you'd normally be using an extension ladder for. So that's pretty cool. And something I noticed, it's also in the instructions, if you just have it as a regular step ladder, you can actually have two people using it at the same time. Here's it in extension ladder and fully extended. It says it's 23 feet long. It says you can reach to 26 feet. And that's the second reason we bought this. Because if you guys noticed in my tour of the homestead video that I just posted, the last one I posted, our house is actually 3 stories. It's, well, I'll give you a backup shot here. Basically, it looks like 2-story here, but over in the middle section, it is, try to not get the sunlight, there we go. We actually have an attic room. And when we built this house, we saw the plans in a magazine, but whoever drew it didn't really know how the house was constructed. I think they didn't allow for the about 16 to 18 inches of how thick the floors are with trusses and things that provide support. And the fact that this is actually, we have 9-foot ceilings in this. So when it was framed up originally, and looking at it, go, that's not what it looked like in the magazine. It's so much taller. So we have this big giant house, and I'll talk about that some other time. But okay, I guess horizontal works okay also. Anyway, but in the South, you have to wash your house. If you notice on the house here, I'll close in on it. This is vinyl siding. Vinyl, it'll never need to be painted. Man, that's fantastic. Okay, I'll let you look at me while I'm talking. Yeah, the north side of the house can be in shade a lot and ends up growing mold and mildew. So even though I don't know I have to paint my house, we have to wash it. And that's just one of those things where no matter where you go, there's certain things about cultures or areas where you live where you don't find out about it until you're there and you live it. There's actually this story of my wife told me this one time. A spy in World War II, spying on Germany. He was of German descent, but he worked for he was from the U.S. But he could speak German like a German, and he infiltrated. I'm not sure what it was he infiltrated, but he got caught because he was raised in the U.S. And one time at dinner, he got pie for dessert, and they set the pie down in front of him, and he reached forward and turned it with the point towards himself to start eating it with his fork. And everybody just looked at him because I guess that's a no-no in German culture. You always have it pointed to the side. I'm not sure what the point is, so to speak. But anyway, that was just something he missed. Well, washing our house was something that we missed. Of course, we're not going to get executed for it, so that's good. But anyway, I'm going to give you a shot here of why I need this extension ladder. Yeah, coming out into the bright sunlight. And we take this thing off the selfie stick and see if I can make it turn around. Actually, no, I can't. I'm just going to try to make the shot this way, but there we go. If you can see up there, it's clean up to a certain height, and I haven't been able to reach that before. So pray for me that I don't go bouncing off the deck, falling off a ladder, becoming a statistic. That's it for today. God bless you all. See you next time. One thing I thought of without having read the safety instructions, because I do have to admit I skip over those and go to the operational instructions, is that you got to watch about pinching your fingers between these when you're doing the slide, when you're doing the extension ladder change, or well, not extension, but when you're extending these sides. And I didn't do it to my hand. I thought about it first, but I'm sure at some point it'll happen. It's almost inevitable.